Now, the M1A1 carbine was the only gun developed specifically for America's airborne during World War II. Of course, it's based on the U.S. M1 30 caliber carbine. And you have to remember, carbines were intended to replace handguns in the hands of U.S. troops, not M1 Garand rifles. Now, this is a very faithful recreation of a gun that would have been made by Inland in late 1944. You have some great features that contribute to the nostalgia of this gun. You have your early Type 2 barrel band. You have, of course, your push-button safety, not the rotary safety used later in the war. But one thing that Inland did was make sure the new Inland that is in Dayton, Ohio, just a couple of miles from where the original plant was, is they made sure this gun had a very good rear sight. And it has the fully adjustable rear sight that was available on carbines later on in the war. With the M1A1 carbine, of course, your bolt handle, your operating handle is on the right side, and there's a small recess in there that you can lock the bolt open. Now, this gun is fed from a 15-round detachable box magazine. Later on, they came out with a 30-round magazine, but during World War II, it was this 15-rounder. And it's not a bad magazine. One of the things that I love that Inland did with this gun is the stock. This is a walnut stock, but it has the original recipe that Inland used on guns during the war. So when you pick it up, it kind of smells like an M1A1 carbine should, and it really gives the gun a great appearance. The barrel on the Inland M1A1 is 18 inches long, and it has 4-groove rifling and a 1 20-inch right-hand twist, just like the original. Now, the M1 carbine is a pretty compact little gun anyway, but for the America's Airborne, they developed this folding stock, and it's a wire stock, tubular. Actually, this stock is really well done. There's some pretty crappy replicas out there. It's got a nice leather cheek piece with brass rivets, and of course, a cast butt plate, and the whole thing folds just like that. This was so American paratroopers could put it in a leg scabbard and actually jump with the thing. Now, the gun can be fired with the stock folded, but I'm not sure I want to do that. Now, one thing I like that Inland's done is the spring on this butt plate. Actually, you see how the butt plate turns as it goes up against the stock. Original M1A1 carbines, they all have a groove worn in the stock right here. So it was nice that they were able to keep that spring so it's not going to tear up your stock. Now, Inland supplies a sling and an oiler. In order to put a sling on a standard full-stocked M1 carbine, you have to have the oiler because the sling wraps around it. On the M1A1, of course, your oiler just slides right in here, and here is your rear sling swivel, and then of course up here on the front, it's right here on the barrel band. Now, Inland didn't go all the way back retro to the early M1 carbine because the M1 carbine evolved. Parts got better. You can see here that you have the low wood of later carbines, and that's because the high wood would actually break by the operation of the operating handle. And also you have a round bolt and not a flat bolt, but again, it's an improvement to the carbine that they made throughout the manufacture. Now, Inland chose to go with the push button safety. Now, if you look at you got your push button safety here on the right, and then of course you have your magazine release. They found during the war that troops would go to turn off their safety and inadvertently dump their magazine. But it's a little more historically accurate, especially if you're thinking about 1944 to have the push button safety. Now, the front sight on the Inland is a post that's protected by ears. Again, they got the look and the lines of this gun just about perfect. And with the wood stock and the finish on it, this is a marvelous looking gun. And for about $1,050, you can take home a piece of history.
For more reviews of firearms and shooting gear, check out the latest edition of American Rifleman the magazine.